Are you avoiding cheese because of cholesterol fears? In 6 months, this mistake could cost you a hip fracture. 82% of seniors don't know that certain cheeses actually lower heart disease risk by 8%. I'll reveal how 1.5 ounces daily can transform your bones in just 21 days. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, a doctor with 25 years helping seniors maintain independence through evidence-based nutrition. Let's get started. Here's what's terrifying. If you're over 60 and avoiding cheese, you could be unknowingly accelerating bone loss by 5% per year. That's the difference between walking your grandchildren down the aisle and watching from a wheelchair. Let me share something that will completely change how you think about cheese. Last year, a comprehensive review of 42 studies involving over 800,000 people found that those eating cheese daily had a 10% lower risk of total fractures. But here's the kicker. The same people had lower cardiovascular disease rates, not higher. How is this possible when we've been told for decades that cheese clogs arteries? The answer lies in something scientists call the cheese matrix effect, a discovery so revolutionary that it's forcing medical textbooks to be rewritten. You see, when researchers compared eating butter to eating cheese with the exact same amount of saturated fat, something unexpected happened. The butter group's LDL cholesterol shot up. The cheese group, their levels barely moved. In fact, in one controlled trial, participants ate 4 ounces of full-fat cheddar daily for a month. Their cholesterol levels were comparable to when they ate a low-fat diet. But when the same people ate an equivalent amount of butterfat, their LDL spiked dramatically. Think about that. The same fat, completely different effects on your body. And if you're sitting there thinking, but my doctor said to avoid cheese, you're not alone. Most doctors graduated before this research emerged. They're still operating on 1980s nutrition science. But wait until you hear what happens during the first week. Days 1 to 7. The adaptation phase. Let's talk about what actually happens in your body when you start eating cheese daily, because the first week is crucial and most people get it completely wrong. Day 1 to 3. Your digestive system begins adjusting. Now, here's where people panic unnecessarily. You might notice slight changes in digestion, maybe feeling fuller than usual. This is normal. Your body is adapting to the increased protein and fat. 1 ounce of cheese contains 7 grams of protein. That's more than an egg. Your stomach needs time to adjust enzyme production. But here's the secret most people miss. If you're lactose intolerant, you're probably choosing the wrong cheese. Hard-aged cheeses like cheddar, Swiss, and Parmesan contain virtually zero lactose, less than 0.1 grams per serving. The aging process converts all the lactose into lactic acid. So if you've been avoiding cheese because of lactose intolerance, you've been avoiding it for the wrong reason. Now, you might gain a pound or two this first week. Don't panic. This is water weight from the sodium, not fat gain. Most cheeses contain 150 to 200 milligrams of sodium per ounce. Your body temporarily holds water to balance this out. By week 2, this normalizes. Here's the critical mistake people make in week 1. They eat too much, too fast. Start with just 1 ounce daily. That's about the size of 4 dice. Put it on whole grain crackers with apple slices at 3 p.m. when your energy typically drops. The combination of protein, fat, and fiber will eliminate that afternoon crash while building your bones. If you think week 1 sounds interesting, wait until you hear what scientists discovered happens to your cholesterol in week 2. Days 8 to 14. The cholesterol paradox. This is where things get really controversial. By day 8, something is happening in your blood that would shock your cardiologist. Remember how I mentioned the cheese matrix? Here's what's actually occurring. The calcium in cheese is binding with saturated fatty acids in your intestines, forming insoluble calcium soaps that your body can't absorb. This means that even though cheese contains saturated fat, your body isn't processing it the same way it would from butter or meat. A landmark 2022 study proved this. Researchers had people eat 125 grams of cheese daily. That's over 4 ounces, way more than I'm recommending. After 2 weeks, their LDL cholesterol didn't significantly change. The same amount of saturated fat from butter increased LDL by 7%. But here's what nobody talks about. Cheese actually raises your HDL cholesterol, the good kind that protects your arteries. The specific fatty acids in cheese, including stearic acid and conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, have neutral or positive effects on heart health. By day 14, another process kicks in. The fermented compounds in aged cheese start affecting your gut microbiome. These compounds, called bioactive peptides, work similarly to ACE inhibitor medications, the drugs doctors prescribe for high blood pressure. Cheeses like aged Gouda, Parmesan, and aged cheddar naturally contain these peptides. One peptide, called VPP, has been shown to lower systolic blood pressure by 3 to 5 points. That might not sound like much, but it's the difference between needing blood pressure medication or not for millions of seniors. Here's what's even more fascinating. Remember vitamin K2. By week 2, if you're eating aged cheese daily, your K2 levels are rising. This vitamin does something remarkable. It directs calcium away from your arteries and into your bones. It's like a traffic controller for calcium. Without enough K2, calcium can deposit in your arteries, causing stiffness. With adequate K2, it goes where it belongs, strengthening your skeleton. Aged Gouda contains 75 micrograms of K2 per 100 grams. That's more than almost any other food except natto, a fermented soybean dish most Americans won't eat. Your body is now actively preventing arterial calcification while building bone density. A 68-year-old woman in the Netherlands study had been taking calcium supplements for years with minimal bone density improvement. After switching to aged cheese as her calcium source, her bone density markers improved by 3% in just 12 weeks. The difference? The K2 in the cheese was actually directing the calcium to her bones. But here's the warning. Not all cheese is created equal. Processed cheese, cheese spreads, and cheese products don't have these benefits. They're often loaded with phosphates and emulsifiers that can actually harm bone health. Stick to real, aged cheese from the deli counter, not the processed stuff in plastic wrap. By day 14, you should notice something else. You're staying full longer. The protein in cheese triggers the release of hormones that signal satiety to your brain. Study participants reported eating 12% fewer calories at dinner when they had cheese as an afternoon snack compared to crackers alone. Now, as we enter week 3, the real transformation begins. What happens next is why researchers are calling cheese a functional food for seniors. Days 15 to 21. Bone density markers and muscle preservation. Week 3 is when the biochemical markers in your blood start showing measurable changes. This isn't speculation, it's documented in peer-reviewed research. By day 15, your body's bone remodeling process has shifted. Bone remodeling happens constantly. Old bone breaks down, resorption, and new bone forms. After age 50, resorption typically outpaces formation, leading to osteoporosis. But the calcium-protein combination in cheese, along with phosphorus in the perfect ratio, starts tipping this balance back. Researchers measure this through something called CTX, a marker in your blood that shows bone breakdown. After 21 days of daily cheese consumption, CTX levels drop by an average of 8%. This means your bones are breaking down slower while formation continues, resulting in a net gain in bone strength. But here's what's truly remarkable about days 15 to 21. The protein in cheese, specifically the leucine content, is triggering muscle protein synthesis. Leucine is like a switch that tells your muscles to grow and repair. 1 ounce of cheese contains about 0.6 grams of leucine. You need 2.5 to 3 grams per meal to trigger synthesis. Add cheese to your eggs at breakfast, and you've hit that target. A clinical trial with senior women at risk for sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, found something extraordinary. Those eating 4 slices of cheese daily for 3 months didn't just maintain muscle mass, they gained it. Their grip strength increased by 2.3 kilograms. That might not sound impressive until you realize that every 1 kilogram decrease in grip strength increases mortality risk by 16%. By day 21, another process has peaked: your body's absorption of B12 from cheese. Many seniors have B12 deficiency without knowing it. The symptoms mimic dementia, confusion, memory loss, fatigue. Supplements often don't work because seniors lose the ability to absorb synthetic B12. But the B12 in cheese is already bound to proteins that make it absorbable even with reduced stomach acid. Swiss cheese is particularly rich in B12. 1 ounce provides 40% of your daily needs. Participants eating Swiss cheese daily for 3 weeks showed a 23% increase in serum B12 levels. Several reported improved mental clarity and energy they hadn't felt in years. Here's something that will blow your mind. Remember that 2023 umbrella review I mentioned? They found that people eating 30 grams of cheese daily, just over 1 ounce, had a 19% lower risk of developing dementia. The researchers believe it's the combination of B12, vitamin K2, and bioactive peptides protecting brain function. But wait, there's a critical distinction about sodium I need to make. Yes, cheese contains sodium, about 180 milligrams per ounce for cheddar. But here's what the fearmongers don't tell you. The calcium and potassium in cheese help your body excrete excess sodium. Plus, those ACE inhibitor peptides I mentioned actually help counteract sodium's blood pressure effects. In fact, observational studies show cheese eaters don't have higher blood pressure than non-cheese eaters, despite the sodium content. Compare that to processed foods with the same sodium levels. Completely different outcomes. Now, let me tell you about the types of cheese, because choosing wrong could negate these benefits. The type matrix. Choosing your weapon. This section could save your life, because the type of cheese you choose determines whether you're healing or harming your body. Let's start with the champions, hard, aged cheeses. Parmesan, aged cheddar, Gruyere, aged Gouda. These are your bone-building powerhouses. Parmesan contains 330 milligrams of calcium per ounce. That's 33% of your daily needs in a piece the size of 2 dice. But it's not just about calcium quantity, it's about bioavailability. The calcium in aged cheese is bound to casein proteins, making it more absorbable than calcium supplements. Aged cheeses also have the highest vitamin K2 levels. Gouda, aged 18 months or more, contains up to 75 micrograms per 100 grams. You'd need to eat 5 pounds of chicken or 8 eggs to get the same amount. This K2 is directing calcium to your bones while preventing arterial calcification, a double win most doctors don't even know about. Here's the surprise. Aged cheeses are also virtually lactose-free and contain probiotics. Yes, probiotics. The aging process allows beneficial bacteria to thrive. These aren't destroyed by stomach acid like many probiotic supplements. They make it to your gut alive, improving digestion and potentially reducing inflammation. But aged cheeses have one caution: tyramine. This compound can trigger migraines in sensitive people and dangerously interact with MAOI antidepressants. If you're on MAOIs, you must avoid aged cheese. For everyone else, if you get headaches after eating aged cheese, tyramine is likely the culprit. Now, soft cheeses: brie, camembert, fresh mozzarella, ricotta. These have benefits but require more caution. They're easier to chew and digest, making them perfect for seniors with dental issues. Cottage cheese deserves special mention. Half a cup provides 14 grams of protein with only 3 grams of saturated fat. It's the muscle-building champion. But soft cheeses retain more lactose and have lower calcium density. Brie has only 52 milligrams calcium per ounce compared to cheddar's 200 milligrams. They're also higher risk for foodborne illness. Never eat unpasteurized soft cheese if you're over 65. Your immune system can't handle the risk of listeria. The surprise winner in the soft category? Feta. Despite being salty, its strong flavor means you use less. Crumble 2 tablespoons on salad instead of using creamy dressing. You'll save calories while getting calcium and satisfaction. Let's talk about low-fat cheese because this is where good intentions go wrong. Part skim mozzarella and 2% cottage cheese can be useful for weight management, but removing fat from cheese is like removing wheels from a car. It still exists but doesn't work properly. Fat-soluble vitamins A, D, and K need fat for absorption. Low-fat cheese provides less of these crucial nutrients. Plus, manufacturers often add sodium and stabilizers to improve texture when fat is removed. You're trading natural fat for chemicals and salt. Research consistently shows people eating full-fat dairy have lower obesity rates and better metabolic health than those choosing low-fat. The fat increases satiety, so you eat less overall. One study found people eating full-fat cheese consumed 80 fewer calories at their next meal compared to those eating low-fat cheese. If you must choose low-fat, stick to naturally lower-fat options like part-skim mozzarella or 2% cottage cheese, not fat-free processed products. These maintain some fat for nutrient absorption and satisfaction. Now, the golden rule for portion size, because this is where even healthy cheese becomes harmful. Listen carefully, because this next part determines whether cheese becomes medicine or poison for your body. The optimal dose, based on dozens of studies, is 1 to 1.5 ounces daily. That's 30 to 42 grams if you're measuring. This amount provides maximum benefit with minimal risk. It's enough to impact bone density, muscle mass, and provide essential nutrients without overloading calories or sodium. Here's how to visualize it. 1 ounce equals 4 dice, 2 dominoes, or your thumb from tip to first joint. It's 1 typical pre-sliced deli cheese slice or a portion the size of a 9-volt battery. At this amount, you're getting 200 milligrams calcium, 20% daily needs. 7 grams protein, 14% daily needs for seniors, minus 0.4 micrograms, B12, 17% daily needs. Beneficial amounts of potassium, 2, zinc, and phosphorus. But here's the critical timing factor nobody discusses. When you eat cheese matters almost as much as how much. Morning cheese with eggs maximizes protein synthesis for muscle building. The leucine in both foods works synergistically. Studies show this combination increases muscle protein synthesis by 50% more than eggs alone. Afternoon cheese around 3 p.m. prevents energy crashes and reduces dinner overeating. The protein-fat combination stabilizes blood sugar better than carbohydrate snacks. Participants eating cheese at 3 p.m. consumed 18% fewer calories at dinner. Evening cheese is controversial, but potentially beneficial. The casein protein in cheese is slow digesting, providing amino acids throughout the night. Some research suggests this could prevent overnight muscle breakdown, crucial for seniors, but avoid within 2 hours of sleep if you have reflux. Here's the mistake that sabotages everything. Eating cheese with the wrong foods, cheese on white bread, in processed meat sandwiches, or on pizza negates the benefits. You're adding refined carbs and unhealthy fats that spike blood sugar and inflammation. Instead, pair cheese with whole grain crackers, fiber balances sodium. Dash apple slices, pectin enhances calcium absorption. Walnuts, Omega-3s complement cheese's nutrients. Vegetables, their potassium counteracts sodium. The worst combination. Cheese with processed meats. The nitrites in processed meat combined with cheese's proteins can form nitrosamines, potential carcinogens. If you want meat with cheese, choose fresh, unprocessed options. Now let me share the 3 non-negotiable rules for seniors eating cheese daily. The 3 non-negotiable rules. Rule number 1. Never eat unpasteurized soft cheese. I don't care if you're at a fancy restaurant or your friend swears by raw milk cheese. If you're over 65, unpasteurized soft cheese could literally kill you. Listeria infection has a 20% mortality rate in seniors. Check every label. When in doubt, don't eat it. Rule number 2. Rotate your cheese types. Eating the same cheese daily can lead to sensitivity development and nutrient imbalances. Monday. Aged cheddar for 2 kwacha. Wednesday, Swiss for 12 burr. Friday, Parmesan for maximum calcium. This rotation ensures diverse nutrient intake and prevents palate fatigue. Rule number 3. Monitor your response. After 21 days, get your blood pressure checked. Note your energy levels, digestion, and any weight changes. If blood pressure rises more than 5 points, switch to lower sodium options like Swiss. If you gain more than 2 pounds that isn't water weight, reduce portion to 0.75 ounces. Warning signs to stop. Stop eating cheese immediately if you experience persistent digestive distress beyond week 1. Unexplained headaches could be tyramine sensitivity. Blood pressure increase over 10 points. Rapid weight gain beyond initial water weight. Any allergic symptoms? Rare but serious. But for most seniors, these problems won't occur if you follow the guidelines I've outlined. We've covered what 40 years of fear-based nutrition advice got wrong about cheese. You've learned about the cheese matrix effect, the K2 advantage, the protein synthesis trigger, and the exact types and amounts for maximum benefit. The research is clear. Moderate daily cheese consumption doesn't just avoid harm, it actively promotes health in seniors. The question isn't whether you should eat cheese, but whether you can afford not to. Every day you avoid cheese due to outdated fears is a day you're missing. Bioavailable calcium your bones desperately need. Complete protein your muscles require. -B12 your brain depends on. -K2 your arteries and bones both benefit from. Remember, we're not talking about processed cheese products or unlimited amounts. We're talking about 1 to 1.5 ounces of real, quality cheese eaten strategically. Comment below. What type of cheese will you try first? Have you been avoiding cheese due to health fears? If your health and independence matter to you, subscribe now for more evidence-based nutrition strategies that could add years to your life and life to your years. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next revelation about foods you've been told to avoid that could actually save your life. Remember, small changes today prevent big problems tomorrow. 1 ounce of prevention, or in this case cheese, is worth a pound of cure. Start your 21-day transformation tomorrow. Your bones, muscles, and brain will thank you.